The lacrimal gland, it is a serous type of gland, and it is having two parts, an orbital part and a palpebral part. The orbital part is deep and larger, whereas the palpebral part, it is superficial and small. It is located at the lacrimal fossa anterolateral to the roof of orbit. It secretes lacrimal fluid or the tear fluid. So from this lacrimal gland, the secretions go through the lacrimal duct. There are about 12 lacrimal duct. It enters the conjunctival sac. So from the conjunctival sac, it is drained to the lacrimal punctum, and through the lacrimal canaliculi, it reaches the lacrimal sac, and from the lacrimal sac, it continues inferiorly and it continues to the nasolacrimal duct, and this nasolacrimal duct, it moves downward laterally, it moves downward, backward and laterally, and enter the lateral wall of nose to the inferior meatus, and so the nasolacrimal duct opens in the inferior meatus, and there is a valve which is guarding, that is called the valve of Hasner. If there is an inflammation in the lacrimal sac, it is called dacrocystitis. And if there is an obstruction when the lacrimal fluid is drained, that is either at the level of punctum, either at the level of canaliculi, or either at the level of nasolacrimal duct, this excessive secretion of the lacrimal fluid, it overflow on the cheek region, and this condition is called epiphora. The lacrimal gland, it is supplied by the lacrimal branch of ophthalmic artery, and its nervous supply is by the lacrimal nerve. It is having sensory fibers as well as secretomotor fibers. The lacrimal nerve, it is a branch of ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve. It is getting the secretomotor fibers from, there is lacrimatory nucleus or superior salivary nucleus at the level of pons. So from the superior salivary nucleus through the nervus intermedius of the facial nerve, it reaches the geniculate ganglion. So at the geniculate ganglion, the greater petrosal nerve and the deep petrosal nerve. The greater petrosal nerve, it is a parasympathetic part, whereas the deep petrosal nerve, it is a sympathetic part. They together joined from nerve to pterygoid canal. The deep petrosal nerve, it is forming from T1 sympathetic fibers. The T1 preganglionic sympathetic fibers, it ascend and relays at the superior cervical ganglion. The postganglionic fibers will reach at the internal carotid artery, and they form plexus at the internal carotid artery, and without relaying, the deep petrosal nerve will arise. So this deep petrosal nerve and the greater petrosal nerve, they join together to form the nerve to pterygoid canal, otherwise called Vidian nerve. These Vidian nerve, they will reach at the pterygopalatine ganglion. So here the greater petrosal nerve, it relays, because it is a parasympathetic fibers which is relaying at the pterygopalatine ganglion. So from there, the postganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise. It joins with the maxillary nerve, which is suspending this pterygopalatine ganglion. So it will go along with the maxillary nerve, its zygomatic branch, and its zygomatico, through the zygomatico-temporal branch, it gives a communicating branch to the lacrimal nerve. So actually the lacrimal nerve, it is a branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal. The ophthalmic division is giving three branches. frontal, nasociliary and the lacrimal, and it supplies the sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers are reaching at the lacrimal gland. Actually, the most of the duct of the orbital part, it passes through the palpebral part. So removal of the orbital part, removal of the palpebral part, it is functionally equivalent to removal of the entire gland. So after the removal, the conjunctiva and the cornea, they are moistened by the accessory lacrimal gland, which is also called Crow's gland. So actually the lacrimal fluid secreted by the lacrimal gland, it flows into the conjunctival sac, it lubricates the front of the eyes and deep surface of the eyelid. So when we are blinking the eyes, the periodic blinking, it helps to spread the fluid over the eye, and most of the fluid evaporate. The rest is drained by the lacrimal canaliculi. So when these tears are excessive, it flows as tears. The conjunctiva, which is lining the deep surface of the eyelid, it is called a palpebral conjunctiva, and the conjunctiva that is lining in front of the eyeball. In front of the eyeball you can see conjunctiva lining, there is bulbar conjunctiva. So there is a potential space between the palpebral and bulbar part, and that is potential space is called the conjunctival sac. So this palpebral conjunctiva, it is thick, opaque and highly vascular, whereas the bulbar conjunctiva, it covers the sclera. It is thin, transparent and it is loosely attached to the eyeball. Over the cornea, so over the cornea, it is represented by anterior epithelium of cornea. So over the cornea, it is the anterior epithelium, it forms the anterior epithelium of the cornea. So both the lacrimal canaliculi, it opens to the lateral wall of the lacrimal sac, and that is behind the medial palpebral ligament. So the lacrimal sac, its relation, it's anteriorly we can see medial palpebral ligament and orbicularis oculi. Medially there is a lacrimal groove which is separating from the nose. Laterally it is related to lacrimal fascia and the lacrimal part of orbicularis oculi. That is the exact position of the lacrimal sac. It is having the lower end, it is continuous with the nasolacrimal duct. Upper end is, there is no opening, hence upper end is blind. So this is the exact position of the lacrimal sac. So this lacrimal gland, it is a J-shaped gland and it is intended by the tendon of LPS muscle, and the length of the nasolacrimal duct is 18 millimeters long. And that's all about the lacrimal apparatus and lacrimal gland.